Welcome. Today I'm going to walk through solving a tricky word problem. I have to put together a lot of components to solve this problem. It's going to take a little bit of time, but bear with me, and you'll learn a couple of really good tips for solving word problems and how to approach any math problem in general. Okay, so the question we have today is, the fuel cost per hour of driving a Ferrari is proportional to the square of speed in miles per hour. Also, when you are going 25 miles per hour, the fuel cost is $25 per hour. There is also a fixed cost of driving, which is $100 per hour. Okay, so what we're being asked to do is find an equation for total cost per hour of driving. So, we're being asked to write down an equation using all this information that's been given in the question. The first thing I'm going to do is go back to the question and figure out all of the costs I need to add up to get a total cost. When I see the word total, that makes me think addition, sum. I know that we add a bunch of numbers together and we get a total. So I need to figure out all the numbers, all the different costs that I'm adding to find the total cost. So I'll start writing everything down in words. Total cost, I'll abbreviate this TC, equals. Now let's go back to the question and figure out what kind of costs we have. So I see the fuel cost per hour. I'm going to underline that. I need to talk about fuel cost. Proportional, blah, 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 blah. What else? There is also a fixed cost. Okay, so I know total cost equals fuel cost plus fixed cost. Great. Now I know that once I write these two components in math, I have all the components of total cost and I'm not missing anything. That's why it's a great idea to write everything out in English before you start doing math. Otherwise, we might have started to calculate fuel cost and forgot about fixed cost. This helps us make sure we have everything covered. Okay, now let's go to these two components and figure out how to write each of them in math. Let's start with fuel cost. So, going back to the question, what do we know about fuel cost? The fuel cost per hour is proportional to the square of speed in miles per hour. Okay, I'm going to underline that with a little squiggle. It's giving us some more information about fuel cost. Now, what does this mean? So, we have fuel cost, and we know fuel cost is proportional to the square of speed. So, when two quantities are proportional, it means that we can multiply one of them by a constant to get the other. Now, we can place the constant on either side of the equal sign because it'll just end up being 1 over what the other constant was. Now, you could prove that to yourself in a couple ways, and I'll post a little video explaining more about proportions if you find that a little bit tricky to deal with. But here's what we have so far. Fuel cost equals K. I'm going to call my constant K. Now, times speed squared, because it's proportional to the square of the speed. Great. Okay. I know that about fuel cost. What else do I know about fuel cost from the question? Well, let's keep reading. Also, when you are going 25 miles per hour, the fuel cost is $25 per hour. Okay, let's make a little squiggly line for that piece of information. And let's add it down here. So, when fuel cost is 25, we have speed is also 25. Hey, look, we can plug that into this equation. I'll write it down in words first. So $25 per hour, fuel cost at 25 miles per hour. Now let's combine these two pieces of information. So $25 equals K times 25 squared. Well, Looks like I only have one variable in this equation now, so I should be able to solve for it. I'm going to do this by dividing both sides by 25 squared. Now, this will go away because the 25 squares cancel out, and now I have 25 over 25 squared. The top 25 will cancel out with one of the 25s on the bottom, giving me 1 over 25 equals k. So I can write fuel cost equals 1 over 25 speed squared. Awesome. Looks like I figured out everything we need to know about fuel cost. Now, let's go back all the way up here and figure out what else we're missing in our total cost equation. Going back to the question again, there's also a fixed cost, which is another squiggly line for this piece of information, $100 per hour. Okay, so what do I know about fixed cost? Well, it's going to be $100 per hour. Great. Looks like I'm almost done here. I've written this in math, and I've written this in math. Now, the last step we want to do is check our units. Total cost is in dollars per hour. The two quantities on the right-hand side of the equation also better be in dollars per hour. Well, looking back at the question, I know that fuel cost is a cost, so it's in dollars, and it's calculated per hour, as I can see right here. So I know that's good. What about fixed cost? Well, that's also $100 per hour. So I know the units on the left-hand side of the equation match up with the units on the right-hand side of the equation. So, looks like we're done here. We have total cost equals 1 over 25 speed squared plus 100. Let's box our final answer, and we are done. Thanks for watching.